Hello, friends. Today we'll be discussing about a very interesting topic, which is how can you start your own coaching and consulting business. So that means how can you sell the knowledge what you have in your head, and you can monetize and start to make money. So as you know, consulting and coaching is a quite a vast area, and it is one of the fastest growing industries as well. Okay, the projection or the size of this market, what it's going to be, is absolutely huge. Especially this pandemic has made this industry of coaching, consulting, or uh, e-learning, I would say. Okay, so that means it's no more physical, but it's a more kind of online coaching. Okay, so this is going to be a huge industry, and this pandemic has triggered the entire sort of a process. Okay, or preponed the entire process, and it is something which is quite booming now. Okay, and let me just show you some of the statistics so that you understand as well that how big is this industry, and how we'll discuss about how you can also capitalize on this humongous industry. Okay, so let me just show you the share the screen just to show you that how big is the size. Okay, so now you see here, so this is from statista. Okay, statista.com. It is quite popular, where they gather all the statistics and the numbers, okay, with market research. And now you can see the statista's data here. Okay, it talks about in 2026 the e-learning. I know now, if you see e-learning, online e-learning, LMS is learning management system, and mobile e-learning. So together, if you see, the size is close to the market size in millions of dollars. Okay, so now you can see that it's going to be a $4 billion, $4,000 million in 2026. Can you imagine the size of this e-learning space? And this is there is a lot of money to be made in here as well. So that means doesn't matter what exactly you do. So if you are having a full-time career, you are working full-time in an accounting practice as an accountant, or you are kind of someone who is kind of working in McDonald's as well. Okay, all of us have some knowledge, some experiences in a different aspects of life. Okay, it may be life, maybe some professionally we know certain things. Okay, but sometimes we do not also realize that we have that knowledge. Okay, and we don't know even that that can be capitalized. So that is where we'll discuss about how can you start packaging what you learn, or with what you have already in your head. Okay, you don't have to learn new things, especially the knowledge about what you'll be selling is already probably in your head. But how you will be selling, okay, what you'll be selling probably in your head, but what you'll be selling is probably you may have to learn a bit of a marketing. Okay, however, okay, this industry, you can capitalize on this multi-billion dollar industry. Okay, and you can sell your knowledge. Okay, so how can you sell your knowledge? How can you start your own coaching and consulting? Okay, let's discuss about that as well, briefly, about what is the difference between coaching and consulting. Then we'll talk about another form of it, where your coaching and consulting could be made passive just by packaging everything into a course. You can make an online course and sell it, and that could make you money as well. Okay, so now let's talk about the difference between coaching and consulting. Okay, so coaching is to me, okay, coaching is when I render something to a group of people, more than one person, or multiple individuals. So that means that become a coaching course, okay, or a coaching institution if I am doing it in an institution, or if I am doing some online classes, that is kind of a coaching. What is consulting? Consulting usually is when I am rendering my service, or I am giving my service, or my applying my knowledge. I'm selling my knowledge. Where I am selling it to kind of an institution, okay, an organization. It is a consulting, because it's kind of a consultation. Okay, that means they have a problem, I have a solution, and I am solving that problem. Or consulting could be as well to an individual as well. It may not be an organization, but an individual. But if there is a group of people, I am solving their common problem. It more kind of a coaching, maybe an appropriate word than consulting. Okay, but it's kind of a similar, whereby I am selling my knowledge and also my time now, by solving people's problem. Okay, so now let's discuss about solving people's problem. Means entrepreneurship is all about solving other people's problem. Okay, so when you are thinking about your own coaching and consulting business, you can start. So there are there are not only you can think of a coaching and consulting, but you should also be looking at, or you should be aware of another quite interesting field as well, which is a course, online or a packaged course. Okay, course is something that means you do not have to be there, okay, to render the course. You can record the course. Okay, now you must have taken up courses like Udemy or Skillshare, and there are so many other applications. Even on LinkedIn as well, there are so many courses. You may have taken up all these courses, and these are all, you can sell your own knowledge as well and package it as a course, and you can sell it. Okay, now how big is this, how much you can charge? Well, it also depends on the demand in the market. Okay, but everything, okay, you whatever you think that you are good at, there would definitely be some people, there are people out there who are looking for your information. Okay, now for example, if you are thinking that, okay, what can I sell? Let me give you an example. If you are a parent, if you have kids, probably you can teach how to be a parent. Okay, that means how to take care of your kids. Now you must be wondering, okay, how can that be possible? Because everyone probably knows about it, or they will figure it out, and nobody wants to buy this. Okay, now this is kind of a wrong notion. Why? Because if for a new father or a mother, okay, so that means those who have a newborn baby, you have walked the path. Okay, so that means, let's say you have grown up kids, okay, who are, let's say, 5 year, 10 year, 15-year-old. Now, just even I wouldn't take it to that level of 15-year-old. I would say that if you have a 5-year-old one, then probably you have been through the process of becoming a new parent, to again raising your kids and taking that kid to a five-year level. So that means you can answer their questions, new parents question, the initial questions. Okay, they may have questions about where do I get the nappies? Okay, the very basic question. Okay, or what are the vaccinations, or um, if I want to take my kids outside, and they may have questions like, okay, do I get them, vaccination of that country? Like for example, for about myself, I'm originally from India. When I thought of, okay, my kids I'll be going and visiting India, then I was thinking, okay, do I need to get them vaccinated? So this is a vaccination. For an example, you can also ask, in that guide or your coaching program, you can also embed, let's say, schooling. Okay, what kind of schools are available, and what how to look for a good school for the kids, or for infant, for nursery. Okay, how do you find a nursery, and is there any support from government? Okay, you can also ask for, or any kind of tax benefits you have. And for new parents, probably they may have questions about how can I manage with my own profession, like the mother and the father may be working full time. Okay, how can they take care of it? Or massaging of the kids. So there are so many different things, okay, out there. Then all this information which you never knew that somebody is out there, they are looking for that information, they may be googling in that information. You can package it up, and you can have a course, or you can become an online coach as well. You can charge people as well. There are digital sort of Zoom has the platform as well. You can charge on the Zoom sessions as well. So there are so many different ways. Now it has opened the floodgate. So if you just open your mind, you'll see that, okay, you can start to make money from the knowledge. Okay, what you already have, you do not ever thought that it could be sold. Okay, now there is another question comes, or which came to my mind, is, well, somebody can Google it, somebody can go to YouTube again, which is owned by Google as well, and all the information is out there. And why should anyone buy my product? Okay, buy my coaching program, or my consultation? Okay, now, that's a very good question. I had that same question as well. But when I looked into this industry, and I attended few coaching sessions as well, to increase my knowledge, okay, about certain things, then I realized that, yes, okay, for example, I was learning, or I'm still learning about, let's say, online digital marketing. Now, on digital marketing, there are so many courses online. Okay, or YouTube, there is a flood, like you have thousands of YouTube channels and YouTube videos you can go and refer. But that is the benefit, and that is also the biggest drawback of these search engines. What does that mean? So that means there are so many thousands of videos out there about a specific thing. Anyone going there, they would be completely be lost. Okay, with which one I should pick up, and what is the right thing to do? Okay, so they will be completely lost, and the lost mind or indecisive mind does not take any action. And that is the biggest drawback of search engine, and that is the reason why consulting as a business is a much flourishing business. Okay, it is flourishing now. It will ever be flourished. Why? Because your knowledge, the way you know the entire thing now, from different aspect of a problem, or a different aspect of a situation, from the beginning to the end. Okay, you have been through that, you have experienced that, you have learned. Okay, so whatever is your experience, your learning, you are now packaging it. Okay, so just imagine different YouTube videos. Okay, you are taking it, pulling it out, and giving it in a systematic way to someone, so that person will appreciate it much more than going to YouTube and getting lost. So that is the reason why absolutely everything is online, on YouTube, on Google. You can find and read, and you can spend a lot of time. So, but it's very important here to understand the but There are a lot of people. Okay, there may be some people as well there who do not want to spend money, but there are a lot of people out there who value their time more than money. Okay, time and money. Okay, either they will be trading for time or trading for money. Okay, so that means they have to exchange, they have to give the time, a lot of time, to gain that knowledge. By time means they can go for the easy route, or a free route, okay, of spending their time, because somebody has the time. Okay, they can go through that. Okay, that's fine. So your product may not appeal to them, but there are a lot of people out there who want that information in a packaged format. Okay, they want to reach out to someone, for if they have any questions. Okay, and they want someone who they feel like that person could be their mentor. And that is where it is super powerful that you can start your own coaching and consulting business, just ignoring that there are thousands of videos out there. But not everyone is willing or will ever be willing to spend their time to go through thousands of, or hundreds, or even 10, 15, and then getting lost and who to follow, what to follow. Rather, people would rather pay someone to gather that information, gain that experience, get that knowledge from someone who they can talk to as well, and step by step, and they will be happy about it. Okay, so that is where the coaching consulting business the starting point of it. So that means the thought process has to be very clear. And a packaged course means what? Packaged course means you are just packaging it up. That means creating a course and then selling it to your prospective business, prospective clients or customers. Okay, so now let's understand the process. Okay, so that means it doesn't matter if you are starting your own coaching and consulting business, or if you want to package it up and sell it as a course. So the process remains the same. Okay, so just understand this process. Okay, and this will be quite important for you to go through it. Okay, so now we have mentioned here 7 steps process. Okay, first is identify your talent. Okay, what does that mean? So that means first you have to know what is that you have, you can sell. You may be wondering, okay, I don't know anything. Well, I guarantee you, you know a lot of things. Okay, now just by giving an example of a parenting guide. Okay, parenting as an example, there are so many things. So that means over a period of time, since you are born until now, you have gone through that experiences of life. Okay, so that is something you have to pull it out, you have to take it out of your brain, and that is the starting point where you are going to create a coaching program, create a consulting business out of it. Okay, so that is called identifying your talent. Okay, now a very quick and easy way as well, not only the talent but your passion as well. Okay, talent is something which is within yourself, you already know about it, but passion is something which drives you for the future. Okay, talent is already, you have it, something. Okay, you have it, but passion is something which drives drives you to do certain things. Okay, so you may have a talent of singing may be a talent, but if the something which drives you, your passion is traveling. So there are two things here, talent and passion. Okay, you can, because whatever drives you as a passion, then you tend to gain a lot of knowledge for, from that field, on that field. Okay, so that is the reason why you have to identify your talent or passion. Okay, either or. Once you identify that, okay, so that means quick another way, a tip here is just observe yourself, what kind of a time, that means what activity you spend most of your time on. Okay, and that activity becomes your talent. Okay, so that means that is kind of a something which you may have an edge over others. Okay, now next is the creating content on social media. Now once you identify what is that you have, or whatever excites you, or what passion what you have, and some knowledge what you have. Next thing is you have to start creating content on social media. Okay, I would suggest to pick up just only one social media, not multiple. Okay, at the starting point, but later on you may add, and you may add the same post in multiple different social media. But if you are a beginner, if you're just starting out, what I would suggest is create just pick up one social media. And if you ask me what is the right social media, well, there is nothing right or wrong, but certain things, for example, are my favorite. It may not be yours, may not be somebody else. For example, Instagram is something which I really like, to create content on. And also writing blogs is also my kind of a passion. I love writing, and I love teaching. So YouTube is also my passion. So what does that mean? So all the three? Well, not three. I would pick up one. So I would rather pick up YouTube first. Okay, where I can teach people, I can share my knowledge. Okay, now you may feel like, okay, don't have a lot of things I want to share in this field. Well, in that case, Instagram may be a good option. Okay, so that means Instagram, you don't have to create a very long content. Okay, short content, so pictures and short videos are all good for Instagram, so you can do that as well. But you have to create content. Why is it needed to create content? Is for other people, so you are attracting other people. So this is kind of an attraction marketing, where you are these are free. Okay, so freely you are letting other people know about your talent, what you have got within in your mind. Okay, and now you are creating a brand for yourself. Okay, so the branding, personal branding, is extremely important, because what you are selling is your knowledge, and your knowledge is nothing but your brand. Okay, so that is why you have to post, create content. Okay, now content are free. Now you must be wondering, okay, if the content is free, then why would anyone pay me? Well, that is what a thing which you have to learn always, that anything, if you go to a shop, if the shop just keeps everything inside, and there is no glass kind of a window, or you can't see what they are selling, then you will never buy anything, because you don't know what they are selling. So exactly the same way, if somebody doesn't know what you have got, and what you have got is what is inside the brain, they cannot go and look inside your brain. And that is why it's very important that you display what you have got. And when you are putting yourself out there, okay, and creating the social media content, what exactly you are doing is you are just displaying, okay, different things what you are selling. So that means you are displaying what other people can buy. Okay, so that means these are small little chunks of knowledge you are putting up out there. So that means people are becoming aware, or your customers, your clients are becoming aware that, okay, so these are the things available for me to buy. Okay, so then they can get in, and what you are selling is not exactly that small thing, one thing. What you are selling is, you are selling them a holistic thing. Okay, that means in depth. Okay, so that means if you go to a let's say a shop, okay, selling shoes, okay, they may be selling a lot of different varieties of shoes. If you are going and buying the shoes, okay, so you will be sold, or you will be buying the shoes, not only based on the looks. Okay, but you will go and feel. Okay, is it the material is good? Okay, is it soft, and how comfortable it is when I wear it. So you put on the shoes and try it. Okay, is this quite comfortable, or is this the right piece? Does it look good on you? So that means when you are buying anything, even though you go there looking at how it the product looks like on the display. Okay, but when you get into the shop, and then you start to see the other benefits of it. Okay, so you are not sold based on only the looks. Okay, so in this example, it's the comfort is one of the benefits. The looks on your feet is another benefit. Okay, and if you have someone and you just ask that person, that, hey, how do I look, or how does that look on me, and if the person says, not really good on you, then what happens? So you change your mind. So exactly the same way in your consulting business. Okay, you have to create content out there, because you have to showcase what you have got, and without showcasing you can never have a business, to be honest. Okay, you will never will be able to sell anything. So that is where your showcase is your social media. Okay, and which is free as well. Okay, so thousands of people, millions of people are out there, so you are just putting your content out there. Okay, so, and it has to be consistently, you should be starting to put content on this. Just if you are choosing one social media, let's say YouTube, you chose, everyday basis you have to put content in. Okay, now you may be saying, okay, not every day, can I post it once in 2 days or 3 days? Yes, that is nothing right or wrong, but there is only one thing which is right on creating content, or posting content regularly. Okay, this is has to be done. So that means it is not like it may not be a good idea, or it's may be wrong if I create regular content. No, so it's always makes sense to create content on a regular basis. It may be once in a week even, but it has to be once in a week. Okay, the more frequently the content is created, the better it is. Okay, for the social media's algorithm. For example, YouTube content, if you post it on a regular basis, YouTube understand that, okay, this guy posts regularly, so it is a highly likelihood, there is a very high likelihood that they will start to uh, give or show your content. Okay, for any organic search anyone is doing. Okay, there may be someone who created the content 2 years back, okay, or 1 year back, about the same topic, the same keywords what you have used in your content, but your content will show up much earlier, or that means on top. And that person who created last content in a year's time, was 1 year before, that content may not be even shown, or may be shown down below. Why? Is because your content is much up to date and much recent than the other content. Okay, so that is where it's very important that the algorithm itself, okay, the logic behind the search engine, okay, the way it works is it likes the fresh content. Okay, so that means you have to make sure that you churn out good content on a regular basis. Okay, so now with the you are creating the content, they will move on to this third thing. Is when you are creating content, it's very, very important as well that in the content you start to, because you are putting the content out there to social media, a lot of people will be able to see that, but you have to find out a way whereby you can connect with them personally, because they come and they go. And that is where a concept of lead magnet comes in. So what is a lead magnet? Lead magnet is um, something, okay, which you give for free in a return of their email address. So that means what you are doing, that, hey, you liked my content, okay, I have something for you as well, which will give you more on this thing, or which is relating to this thing, but not what I shared in this free content, but it is packaged on, let's say, that could be an ebook, that could be, even a webinar, free webinar. It could be, a cheat sheet, could be, there's a lot of different ideas, but these are called lead magnets. So you're getting the lead, so we are attracting, okay, like a magnet, you're attracting people towards you because they want that thing what you have, but in the process they will give you their information, which is the email address. Okay, so creating lead magnet. So why you are creating the lead magnet? is because you want to sell your products to them. You just that means you want to connect with them and talk to them and find out if they would be interested for your product, because they showed interest in your content. So your product may be what? Well, a coaching session, okay, or a consulting one-on-one consulting session, okay. Could be a an ebook or a book, okay, doesn't matter. So after you create the content, collect their email address. So email address, they say that your email address of your potential customers is your biggest asset, okay, and this is called a digital asset. So it's quite important that to collect their email address, so that tomorrow if Facebook shuts down as well, you have their email address to connect with them, okay. So then fourth point is advertise. So you identify your talent, you started creating content, you are showcasing what you have got, and then what you are doing is you are collecting that email address. So that means you are finding out a way whereby you can connect with those people through their email address. And then what you are doing is you are advertising, okay. Now this is creating content is a free, free advertisement. It is Facebook post will be there for other people to look at, okay. It's completely free. But advertisement is something where you are spending the money with exactly the same intention of other people are connecting with others. That means your potential customers or client, you are connecting with them with advertisement, which makes your process, makes your entire journey much faster. Advertisement, okay. Otherwise, with your organic content, that means when social media content you are creating, so that is a bit a slower process, okay. Why? Because it's free. So that means somebody may pick up your post or video, somebody may not, okay. But when you advertise, so you are forcing your content, okay, um, on the other person, so that they can see, and if they are interested, following, looking at your advertisement and what you have got to offer, if they are interested, then they can sign up as your sign your as your what is that, mentee, okay, mentee, or as your client or customer, okay. So where exactly you advertise? Facebook. Facebook, if you are creating content on Facebook, like Facebook posts, so you can boost Facebook post. Boost means what? So as soon as you create a content on Facebook, write an article, and then down below it says boost your post. So what does that mean? So that means you are spending some money, and you are putting your post in front of people who you think may be good candidate, who could appreciate what you have got, okay. And subsequently they may be interested even to buy your coaching or consulting services, okay. So YouTube ad is also extremely important. It works really well. Facebook ad, Eventbrite as well have the, you can create Eventbrite on event as well. Their Eventbrite have their own traffic, okay. That means people look for those certain keywords, and Eventbrite shows them your uh, your event, okay. So that means your webinar, or any event you are planning to do. Airbnb, they are also, if you are still thinking that Airbnb is only into the hospitality industry, that is not the case. Airbnb have their own um, uh, what to say, they have you can host, okay, you can host your own educational, that means you can teach people, okay, on Airbnb platform as well. Just like the Airbnb in hospitality sector, you are hosting other people and on your asset, okay. That means on at your house. But exactly the same way, okay, Airbnb has a program whereby you can host a webinar as well, okay, on Airbnb. And Meetup is another platform as well, where you can advertise for your newly launched product or service, okay. So advertise, then invite them for to free webinar. Okay, so that is extremely important. Is you got their email addresses, then you have to invite them for free webinar. Once free, that means you have to give them free value, because they have to know, like and trust you. Okay, what is that? Know, like and trust. That's the marketing funnels important, very important concept. Know, like and trust. Okay, somebody has to know you first, and they start to like you. Again, then the trust is developed, and then they buy stuff. Okay, now give them enough of values. Okay, so that is extremely important, that in your webinar, give them a lot of information, and then at the end, sell them your coaching, consulting, or your course. Okay, and this is how, okay, on your webinar you can sell and start to make money right away. Okay, so I hope it made some sense to you guys. If you are also interested to start your own coaching consulting business, or if you need any help, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be more than happy to help you with your journey of setting up your own coaching consulting business, okay, or even an online course business. So with that, I am done. And my name is Som Prakash. I am an entrepreneurship coach and a consultant. I help people to become successful entrepreneurs online. Okay, with that, I'm done and over and out, guys.